the schedule has changed for Ohio State spring practice. So you get a Talkin' Tuesday with Television's Adam King, but he's already got the answers from
I got
Ryan
a lot
Day.
of answers.
Like all answers and not fresh questions.
The most important answer is that Jeremiah did step out and the offense did run. And that was, I am here for integrity.
Yeah.
And while it was a great moment, and I'm glad they didn't call back in the moment, I think Ryan Day and Ohio State wins because everybody had to run.
I mean, you had the video footage, didn't you? Welcome to the Beat, by the way. It is presented by the Waterworks. Like, I didn't have any doubt in my mind. I was in that corner of the end zone. You had your camera out and ready because I know you wanted to capture it. It was 4th and goal from the 4 for the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the clips of Jeremiah will live forever, but the outcome did change.
I think you just got to start the clip as he's going up to catch it. And then it's like a great play.
It is. It's a great moment there. So you did get that clarified.
Yeah. I still have a lot of questions.
I thought you might. And we still have 2 more days of availability this week.
I am going to start with a lie detector, Ryan Day and Carlos Lachlan.
LD, RD,
because
and LDCL?
I have a theory.
Okay.
I have a theory that if this spring had played out the way that they had hoped, and I'm going to say the way that they had hoped, but still factoring in that Bo Jackson and Isaiah West would be out.
Okay.
That when Ohio State took the field this fall, Legend Bay was going to be a major part of this offense when it comes to reps.
Okay.
I think that this was going to be almost like last season in a 1-2-3 backfield. And maybe in a moment where we're like, hey, 3's got to play more. And by 3, I mean Legend Bay. By 3, I mean 2.
By 3, you mean 2. Number 3 on the depth chart.
Yeah.
Number 2 on the jersey.
There you go.
Number 1 in Adam's heart.
And Bo Jackson is great. Isaiah West, they're both great, and they're both going to be amazing players moving forward. But just the way that everything is played out, it felt like for the first time, Ryan Day is genuinely, upset's not the right word, frustrated at injuries. And not for the first time, but like for the first time this spring, I felt like he was saying like,
well, they're mounting.
Yes. And he's like, I know there's nothing we can do about it. But it's not good that Bo Jackson and Isaiah West aren't out there.
Or Turbo Rogers. Or Legend Bay.
Or, yes, exactly. And I think in my roundabout, maybe I'm wrong, and this is why it's a lie detector, I think if I said to Ryan Day and Carlos Lachlan, yes, you're upset that Bo Jackson and Isaiah West aren't out there, but Legend Bay is getting a lot of run, and he's looking every bit the part. Does that make you feel good? They would say, yeah, it's the one kind of solace we're taking all this. Now, all these reps are going to guys that, in theory, and I don't mean to be, I don't mean to be rude, but it's just the actuality of college football. These guys shouldn't be on the field come the College Football Playoff National Championship unless they absolutely, take a major step forward. And we know Favorite Key looked good in Student Appreciation Day. Carlos Lachlan was excited about him, but Favorite Key isn't a guy you can lean on when you're going against the number 2 team by Michigan week. And so what are you really learning? Like what is the plan in that room right now, I guess, is my big question.
I think that Carlos Lachlan, lie detector, Carlos Lachlan would tell you that going into spring camp, he had high hopes for Jacoby Jackson, likes the way he works, likes the physical maturity. So
you know what? I'd like to apologize. He looked good in Student Appreciation Day. I think will get a lot of run.
You probably should, because Jacoby Jackson is very well put together.
Yes,
I think he could take you.
Yes, I apologize. I completely forgot about Jacoby Jackson in my rant there. So I think there's 4 guys.
Like Carlos Lachlan.
There's 4 guys out there that should be on the field. Jacoby Jackson is getting the run, but I don't think they. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I don't think they have a lot of worries about Jacoby Jackson. He comes in as a guy that has already kind of developed. This spring is more about acclimating him. Yeah. When you look at Legend Bay, Bo Jackson, Isaiah West, you wanted growth.
Yeah.
And I think the growth element is really concerning right now.
Especially because it's not just that you mentioned Legend Bay, who was drawing those just incredibly lofty comparisons from Ryan Day, which we say, and we haven't said in several weeks, Ryan Day, it is a philosophy, a core tenet of this show, that he does not make accidents when he's speaking into a microphone. So after week 1, it was still, poor man's Tyreek Hill or Curtis Samuel for the versatility. And that stuff is not said flippantly.
Yeah.
That's not the way that Ryan Day handles his business. But I think there's also a part of this that I felt then, and I was like, I wonder if there's any LDRD that he maybe put too much pressure on Legend Bay.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Because the pads had not been on yet. And he is still a 170-ish pound true freshman who was having to go run between the tackles. And
didn't go through winter workouts.
A lot of the stuff that we're talking about with him as a hybrid weapon, as a receiver, moving around different things formationally, it's not, can you line up and be Bo Jackson? Can you be Travion Henderson or Quinshon Judkins, an every down running back? I don't think that was ever going to happen for Legend Bay. I don't think that's the goal for his Ohio State career. So, yes, they needed people to run the football in spring. That's where the frustration comes from. The second part is like, hey, maybe this is a reminder to everybody involved, Legend Bay, strength staff, Carlos Lachlan, Ryan Day. Like, if you wanted to build this around him, he's still going to have to change a little bit physically to be able to withstand that. He didn't, and this is not an indictment or a slight or an insult. He wasn't ready to make it through his first spring physically. And asking him to do some of these running back things, and I don't,
he did go through like somewhat normal of a winter though, did he not?
But it's still early days for him. And
I said didn't go through. I mean, like, it wasn't completely. You had all the stuff going on, obviously, in the past. His
process was complicated.
Yes,
and
complicated. Yeah,
difficult than anybody else's. So, and that's not to say that if everything had been normal and smooth and he had got a chance to show up in mid-December that he would be 195 pounds and ready to be Curtis Samuel. I do think that was the one time where Ryan Day was talking about a player, and I was like, maybe cool it. Like, I think that's too much.
I don't think cool it because I genuinely think that's where they were with him. And I still think that's where they would be with him if he wasn't hurt. And I think for the first time sitting there today,
you might be right about that.
I circled. Kudos to Austin Ward, because I asked the question about Brock Boyd because I wanted to know about Brock Boyd because, we were probably one of the last 5 to get the question in, so they were wrapping up there. You asked the question about Arthur Smith and if this has gone according to plan because of the running back injuries. And I verbatim was going to ask that question before I got distracted with Brock Boyd, because that is what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Like, that was the biggest thing. We sat here in this microphone when they hired Arthur Smith and we said, run game, run game, run game, run game. Well, we're halfway. We had 2 weeks left of the spring here. And the only real area that I'm circling is the run game. And the frustrating part is it's by no fault of the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
You can't control injuries. It's by no fault that Legend Bay had a crazy process to get here and get settled in and get on campus and get to work. But it's the reality.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do to change it.
Yeah. And so I guess my question would be now, like, how valuable is there a world where we're going to see Favor Akee get real reps? Where, I mean, maybe the answer is that Jacoby Jackson, I should specify, becomes a bigger part of this offense. I mean, Student Appreciation Day, he was running back one.
That was it.
He was, they were using him out of the backfield and passing. That was it.
Yeah.
And so
somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. And but again, I don't think that his spring is more for acclimating. Like, he's done this. So he's had almost, I mean, I don't know. I guess I just have a lot of questions about the future of that room and how it looks. And Ryan, when he said he was talking about Riley Pettijohn. And so when that happens, ears go up.
Yeah.
And he said, like, I don't know
Why
how.
Why is that, Adam?
He said that I don't know how, Pettijohn catches, not catches up, but like with game speed to the room, because when you're injured, and that made me think, like, boy, what does this look like in the running back room? How does all this play out? And I don't know that, it's funny, I think for the first time, I don't think there's an answer. I think in a lie detector Ryan Day, I don't think it would be a lie. I think he would say, I don't know right now. I think we just got to wait and see.
Yeah, and it's hard to see any other option because you can't wave a magic wand and get Bo Jackson and Isaiah West back for the last 5 practices of spring. You're not going to be able to, sprinkle pixie dust on Austin Sareveld and Philip Daniels and be able to go block the way that you want to by the end of spring. Like, that situation is not going to change. So we have to maybe adjust our own expectations or our patience level And I'm certain that's what you're talking about with Ryan Day and Carlos Lachlan as well. Like, this didn't go the way you wanted. What other work can you do to get the pieces in place schematically so that when Bo Jackson is back, when Isaiah West is back, when Legend Bay is back, when Turbo Rogers is back, when Josh Padilla is back, when Jake Cook is back, when Philip Daniels and Austin Sarabald are back, that you are able to pick up and hit the ground running in August? Because that's ultimately what matters. They would have obviously wanted to do this in March and April with a new offensive coordinator and the development of Bo Jackson and Isaiah West too, which by the way, we'll talk to them on Friday, which is why this question is on
that's why
the minds of Adam King. But, we're not going to get that sorted out. And we're probably going to be talking about it all summer, which reminds me that the seasons will change, but comfort will not. So call the Waterworks and Hetter Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing for maintenance, installation, and repairs, or visit online at thewaterworks.com. The Waterworks and Hetter Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. On Wednesday,
well done.
Thank you. We will be talking to the defensive backs, Matt Guerreri and Tim Walton. Our first introductory press conference with Earl Little. Something tells me you're very excited to talk to that safety who has his black stripe removed.
I'm more intrigued, and I want to know for Earl Little, like, what has this period been like, acclimating to Ohio State? Because I would argue, and maybe I'm wrong, but I would argue that it has been as seamless as any transfer in the history of the transfer portal. He came here, and it feels like I still am dumbfounded, and Ryan Day talked about him again at his press conference on Monday, that there is just this confidence in this, he bonds well with these guys.
You know what it feels like?
What?
You say seamless, and it's another safety. It's been like Caleb Downs arriving.
Now you do that.
I'm sorry.
And Ryan prefaced it by saying it's hard to replace Caleb Downs. It's impossible to replace Caleb Downs. But it does feel like a guy that has done really well because so often I was nervous. If you go back to January and you say, okay,
cut that tape on.
Yeah.
Talking Tuesday from January. What did you say? Take a cruise.
Terry Moore and Earl Little. How does this mesh? Yeah. I don't know. This is the secondary that...
I know what I said. I said Earl Little's going to play nickel. And
you were wrong.
I was wrong.
You were wrong.
I was so wrong.
Earl Little's going to play every play the entire season.
And I definitely think that's in the cards.
Yes. And so I guess I just want to ask him, like, was there... This is kind of in the weeds, but, like, was there anything about Ohio State's defense that allowed you to so easily jump in? Because I think that does matter. I think, I go back to, I'm losing, it's hurting my name. Who came with Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State?
Tanner McAllister.
I could go back to Tanner McAllister. And Tanner McAllister transferred, but he had a smooth transfer because he had been on that D. He almost became like a second coach for Ohio State in that time. What was it about this defense that allowed you to, it from everything we hear, it sounds like he's been playing this defense his whole career, which is very impressive. You can be a good player, but being a good player at different places looks different to each coach. He's clearly come here and impressed every coach. And then I'd like to know from Terry Moore how much of what you had with Matt Guerreri is what's here now. Because it's not going to be identical. It's not going to be, I would say, even 50% the same. But how much did that help you settle in to everything you're doing? And then I have one more. I want to go to McLean.
Keep going.
And I want to know, because he was in an interesting position. If you had to write, 5 starters down, there was no world where he wasn't starting. Would you agree? If he wasn't starting, there was a problem.
5 starters that I knew going into spring camp.
We walked out the field in Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, he's got
it.
Yeah, exactly.
100%, yeah.
And so he's not
etched in stone.
Yeah, he's not worried about his position. He's watching everything take shape around him. And so when did he know, this Earl Little guy he's for real. Yeah. This guy is going to be... And what was it in practice that, the black stripe thing, I know some people think it's silly. I think it is the best thing in the world for fans in the media to get an actual in-depth perception of what is going on. Look at Brock Boyd. If you all and I and you sat down and said, yeah, everybody, it's like the scene from The Office, we're all pointing at each other. Who's the freshman wide receiver that everyone's going to be talking about come April 7th? Chris Henry Jr. He hasn't lost his black stripe. Brock Boyd is the first freshman to lose his black stripe. That's saying something. And
I probably would have said Jerquaden Guilford, and I would have just been a contrarian to the Chris Henry Jr.
That checks out. That checks out.
You know me.
I do.
Trying to stir the pot.
Just trying to create conversation, okay?
But I also really like Jerquaden Guilford.
I understand. But we wouldn't have said Brock Boyd?
I would not have said Brock Boyd, to your point.
But he loses his black stripe, and now we're learning that, like, okay, this is a real thing. And so when I look at Earl Little, I look at James Smith. We don't get to talk to James Smith. We already did. I very much... He kind of reminded me of little Philip Daniels. He's got when he talks, he's got some sound bites in him, like saying Ohio State's, it's a different level than Alabama. That'll work. I'm going to put that on the Woody somewhere.
You can watch that on 10 TV. It's going to be clipped all summer long.
Honestly, for this Talking Tuesday, I would just like to summarize the defensive backs by saying I'd like to do a 3-part expose on Earl Little. I would like to go to every person. I'd like to Tim Walton. Because, and here is the actual question that I think should be asked.
Okay.
It's impossible to replace Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is a generational safety, one of the best safeties to ever play at Ohio State. But what are the realistic expectations that Earl Little fills the void of Caleb Downs? Because you're never asking someone to be someone they're not. But what you can ask him to do is, while Caleb had those plays where you go, oh my goodness, just do, you ready for this? Do the routine plays routinely.
What an interesting concept.
I know. And so I wonder how much he's leaned into just being like a routine safety at Ohio State and filling that void. And how much does Tim Walton feel almost, and Matt Guerreri feel like a deep breath almost?
Yeah, I bet they do, because the other part of this is we took like a week and a half off of the Leroy Roker conversation. But if Terry Moore is elevating at the same time that Leroy Roker is, and Earl Little needed a week and a half to get his black stripe off, and you already know what Jalen McClain can do, now you're giving Tim Walton, Matt Guerreri, and Matt Patricia 4 pieces to work with at safety alone. And then you're adding in this other cornerback conversation where Dominic Kelly, maybe by Wednesday, maybe by Friday, certainly I would predict by the time that the spring game rolls around that he'll have his black stripe off, the transfer from Georgia. Cam Calhoun would be in that same mix. Another veteran player who can play multiple spots. Now, so this pool of resources and talent that Ohio State can draw from is now at least 4 at safety and at least 4 at corner that feels like it's game ready, and a coaching staff that looks like it will be more than willing to, move around the personnel, move around the scheme, disguise coverages, use them in a variety of different ways. Where as great as it was last year and even 2 years ago in a safety-driven defense, it was like that's the role, and it's going to stay that way. Because Caleb can do this, and we're just going to let him be an NFL Hall of Famer at the back of the defense. Or Lorenzo Styles is a nickel; he's just going to play nickel. And when I had that, in my mind 2 months ago about Earl Little Jr., it's like, well, he can do that. He's got coverage skills. He can play in the box.
You were replacing the wrong guy.
It's like I was off by a spot, but also like he may line up at nickel, but Leroy Roker could line up at nickel, and Jalen McClain can line up at nickel. Like, I think that there's a lot more flexibility and fluidity with the way Ohio State will play in the secondary than they've had in a long time. And that's sort of where I'm at to talk to, Guerreri and Walton about that. Is they've talked about cross-training positions and being able to handle every role, but they've not actually, I don't think, done that extensively as much as I think that they might this year.
I'm going to say this on April 7th, 2026. I am more excited for next year's defense than I was.
I looked at my wrist and touched my phone.
That's right. You got a real time and a fake freckle.
These are real freckles, baby.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm a redhead.
That's right.
This
real
is the
freckles.
Real deal. Don't be jealous.
I am way more excited for next year's defense than I was this time last year for the defense that ended up being historically good. Whether it be the second year of Matt Patricia, whether it be the way that they have brought in what really looks to be game-changing pieces. Now, mind you, they didn't need that last year. The defense returned so much.
They returned Caleb Downs.
Well, but we knew, I guess is a better way to put it. We knew that Sonny and Arvell were going to be the guys. Like they weren't, we knew who the next up were, if that makes sense. Yeah. They didn't have to go get the person from the portal to fill that void. And here we knew the next guys up, but they also perfectly plugged the spots. And knowing Matt Patricia, like I'm excited for the linebacker room with what's happening. I think this defense could follow up last year's performance by being as good. I won't go there. I won't go there. Won't go that far.
Bold predictions are for Friday.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess you can save that for another day. Well, you really wanted to.
I was right at the line. I got to wait and see a little more.
Okay. Well, you did preface it by saying what the date was. So cut that tape on.
Get to August 7th.
Television's Adam King guarantees being number one defense in the country.
Guarantees a Super Bowl.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't even know how that's possible, but it sounds good to me.
Guarantees a UFL championship.
Oh, not from the Aviators. Doors down. What a rough start.
It's brutal.
Yeah. You've had all these Buckeyes just waiting to come in and play in Columbus again. And
as we conclude Talking Tuesday, it's about questions.
Yeah.
Ohio State and the Aviators play a football game. What's the score?
I think Ohio State wins that game by 200 points.
That's what someone else said. They said whatever Ohio State wants the score to be.
It's bring a broom because it's a mess.
Because it's a mess.
Ending Talking Tuesday by referencing the tours. I didn't know that we would have that on the bingo card, but you never know what's going to be on the minds of Television's Adam King or me. Radios and podcasts and Letterman Rose.
10 TV Pluses.
And wherever you get your podcasts. We have 2 days of availability left this week. Previewed them already for you, but we're going to still have some stocks on Wednesday with Berman here. We'll have 3 thoughts on Thursday and a mailbag. Of course, on Friday, you can send those questions in to theaustinandbermshow@gmail.com. That's theaustinandbermshow@gmail.com.
That's theaustinandbermshow@gmail.com.
I'm glad that has sunk in for you. And you say got a rule of 3. Thank you for finishing that off. Thanks for joining us on this, though. It's a Talking Tuesday with Television's Adam King. We will be back again with some Snappy Jays as well on Wednesday. I'm just trying to give you everything because we are deep into spring ball, and I don't want it to be over. He's Adam. I'm Austin. We'll see you.